Okay.
Thank you.
Do we talk during the opening scene?
Welcome.
Good evening and welcome to the Czech Republic for the 8th running of the Mattoni Olomouc Half Marathon. My name is Joe Battaglia and I'm here in the booth with Jim Moberly. We are back in this historic city of about 100,000 people in eastern Moravia for the 5th race of the RunCzech Running League, the Mattoni Olomouc Half Marathon. The series, which boasts 7 races in Prague and other regions of the country, is the most decorated in international road running. The IAAF, the world governing body for athletics, has awarded its highest rating, the gold label, to all 7 races in the RunCzech Running League, giving the Czech Republic the most high-level road races on the planet. And this race promises to be another good one, but for the 2nd year in a row, it's going to be a hot one, Jim.
It is. It hopefully several degrees cooler than last year, but it's still going to be quite warm and too warm for optimal performances. But we'll get a good race. We've got a good field, men and women, and we'll have a good race. We can't concentrate on the time so much tonight.
Yeah, it's one of those unfortunate situations where you have a field assembled that, under better conditions, could attack the course records. On the men's side, Joffrey Rono ran 60-17 in that famous 2014 race here, where he was brought in to pace world record holder Wilson Kipsang and wound up winning the race. And on the women's side, the great Mary Katani from Kenya with her 66-38 here 2 years ago. I'm guessing those records are going to be safe.
I would think so. Mary ran here last year in the heat, and it was several degrees warmer than it is tonight, but she still ran under 108, I believe, or under 109 rather. She is the best.
And we're taking a look now at the course map. The race will start and finish right here in Horny Square, which is the biggest square in Olomouc. The 10K point is right by the hotel where the elite athletes are staying, so that could be an interesting point to watch and see if any struggling athletes are going to drop out there. The athletes will make a hairpin turn in the park at 15K and be on their way back through the city. Here's a look at some of the elite athletes. Kenneth Peters of RunCzech Racing with a sub-60 PR. Callum Hawkins from Great Britain, 9th at the Olympics in the marathon. Yuri Homolach, the top Czech male.
Several of the other Czech runners, Arturo from Italy, and then
Nick Samuels from Great Britain.
Yes. On the women's side, we haven't seen the list yet, but probably the favorite would be Worknesh Degefa of Ethiopia.
Yeah, I would say it's probably a toss-up there with between Worknesh and you can't discount Rose Chalimo as we take a look at the elite women. Rose from Bahrain was 2nd in the Boston Marathon. You see Eva Vrabkova, 3-time Winter Olympian as a cross-country skier and Olympic finisher in the Rio Marathon, one of those rare winter-summer Olympians. Christelle Dornay is a veteran on the roads. Petra Kamenkova is a local masters runner from right here outside Olomouc.
Yeah, and I don't think we should forget that Crystal won Carlo Vivari a few years ago, and she also won the European Marathon Championships in Zurich a few years ago. But she is now 42 years old, and Petra is, there's Petra right there. Petra is 44. I think she's already suffering, looks like, from the heat.
Yeah, there's going to be little relief, even in the shade here during this race. It'd be interesting to see how the elites hold up under these sweltering conditions.
hopefully nobody's going to have serious problems. We do have very heavy medical and support systems out on the course. What with 15 medical stations?
Yes, there's 15 new medical stations on the course. They have 4 medical personnel on bikes with defibrillators, which is very rare in road racing. 7 sprinkling fountains have been added to the course for cool-off points. An aid station has been added to the 3K, where athletes can get water and sponges. And additional water stations will pop up along the course where maybe we haven't seen them here in the past. Approximately 30,000 liters of water will be available to the runners to combat these conditions.
If they can get some shade from the trees and so on, it's comfortable. It is warm, definitely, but it's possible to run in it, and hopefully no one will have, as I say, any serious problems.
So we take a look at Paulo Paula. He has interesting travels here, coming in. Brazilian runner coming through Portugal, got rerouted mid-air the other night as there was a pretty nice thunderstorm in Prague, and ended up spending the night in Lisbon. Or no, he was coming from Lisbon. They took him to Munich. Right, he spent the night in Germany and didn't arrive here till late last night. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays into his performance. There's Worknesh de Geffa, 2017 Dubai Marathon champ, ran a very, very strong race there, finished in 2:22:36.
Her 1:06:14 is a PR from here. Unfortunately, she chose a year when Viola Chepchumba ran 1:05:52, and so she didn't get the course record. Well, I should say that was in Prague, not in one of the RunCzech races in Prague, not here in Olomouc.
A minute ago, you saw Callum Hawkins, the Scot, cooling himself down already with bottled water.
Wearing his sunglasses, as are several of the runners. Christelle Donnet there in sunglasses. The very tall Simon Sheprop has a PR of 59:20, and so he must be considered one of the favorites for the event.
I think anybody that is in this race under these conditions is a factor if they can withstand the heat.
Yeah,
it's an equalizer for sure.
That's the determining factor. How well do they run in the heat? There's Jiří Homolach, the #1 Czech runner, but even he is going to face competition from the heat here today, wearing his Kenyan bracelet.
He came off 2 months of altitude training before the Prague half in April and had a very good performance. He set multiple PRs en route, correct?
Yes, he did. He got a personal best for the half, a 1:03:26, I believe it was, but he was hoping to go under 1:03, and maybe that'll happen in Usti in the fall, but it's not going to happen today.
What do you think the impact of the conditions are on the some of the 6,200 runners in this race that aren't up front at with the elites and have to bide their time to get across the start line?
Well, once the sun goes down, which isn't going to be until about 8:30 or so, conditions should get a little better. But it's a question of people running within their limits on these kind of conditions. You have to adjust to the conditions.
Well, we're about to see who's going to do it best.
They were given a warning.
Pacemakers are set.
The mayor of Olomouc there with the gun. Gun is up.
And we're off at the 2017 Mattoni Olomouc Half Marathon.
The 8th edition.
Runners will make their way here through Horninamesti, the upper square. It's one of the very few areas of this course that the runners will have to deal with cobblestone. Unlike some of the Prague races where there's more cobblestone for the half marathon and the full marathon, only about 1% of this course has cobblestone. So majority of this is going to be on smooth asphalt. The only tricky parts are going to be the tram tracks.
Tram tracks can be dangerous. Stepping in one of those can really tear up an ankle. But for the most part, it's pretty good footing. The music Vltava by Smetana again. Doesn't really apply to Olomouc because Vltava doesn't come through here, but it's such beautiful music and such a great way to start the race that it's used for all of the RunCzech races. The Vltava, of course, is the river that flows through the center of Prague.
Olomouc is a very interesting race in that before this race started 8 years ago, there really wasn't much of a running culture here, and now you've basically got a full half marathon field, and certainly a lot of people coming out to support this race.
6,400 runners signed up for this race, 3,500 for the earlier DM family run. And so, you know, you're looking at 10,000 people that are participating. Some of them are foreigners, of course, from various countries, but the local community has really taken to this event. It's something they've taken to heart.
You can see some of the children there that were giving high fives to the runners. They were wearing their white T-shirts from the family run earlier today.
They all got their medals and had a good time for their 3K. But there's, as you can also see, there's a good crowd of spectators here at the finish. There are some places out on the course as you get out of the city where it's a little more sparse, but there's a good crowd of people watching.
Yeah, when the athletes hit around 6 or 7K, it's going to get a little quiet, but within the confines of the city limits, it's definitely well supported along the course.
Some more of those runners, almost 4 minutes into the race, and the main pack of runners still crossing the line.
As we said at the top, the town of Olomouc is steeped in history. It's said to occupy the site of a Roman fort founded in the imperial period. Archaeological excavations close to the city have revealed the remains of a Roman military camp dating back to the time of the Marco-Manic Wars of the late 2nd century. So puts into perspective the histories of some of the other countries around the world, particularly the United States, that can't really hold a candle to this place.
There's an apocryphal story that Julius Caesar founded the city, but we're told that's not really true. But that it was founded by the Romans a few years later.
That hasn't stopped the people of Olomouc from following through on that, as we take a look through, as you see the shots of the square, the town here is quite proud of its 6 fountains. While most of the older European cities started removing their old fountains after water supply piping was put in, Olomouc kept them as reservoirs in case of fires. But the fountains all feature ancient motifs, and one of them is dedicated to Julius Caesar. As you check out this aerial shot of the Cathedral of St. Wenceslas. The cathedral was founded in 1107 in the Neo-Gothic style. Those 3 spires, about 328 feet high. It's the second highest in the Czech Republic. As we're checking out the leading group of men.
Boniface Kongen and Vasil Marchvachuk are pacers, along with Vedar Chariot. I'm not sure which one, it's either Chariot or Kongen that has gone to the front. The pack is sticking with the pace 2. There's Kenneth Peters in the RunCzech vest on the left.
Josephat Kiptis is the other RunCzech racer.
And there's Callum Hawkins right next to him.
And I believe that's Felix Candy, if I'm not mistaken, tucked in there.
Yes.
Next to Joseph Kiptis. Felix Candy's had some success in Prague.
There's the women's lead group.
That's Kripa Nikangnet, is the Ethiopian based in Italy, leading the elite women.
All the favorites are there, I would say. Rose Chalimo, Worknesh Degefa, and Netzanet.
Pauline Nigeru.
This could be interesting if they can stick together and work together.
So the elite women here will be looking to run 67:30, which I think is pretty ambitious given the conditions. That's it's about 3:12 per kilometer.
Yeah, I think last year, Mary Catani, who's arguably one of the finest in the world.
She's clearly the best women's marathoner on the planet right now.
Yeah. She ran 68:54, I think it was. You know, so this is it is cooler today, but I don't think these women are quite in her class. They're good. Worknesh has certainly got the credentials, but not quite the credentials that Mary has.
One thing we definitely need to keep an eye on, specific to Worknesh, and in speaking with her yesterday, she indicated that she's got a little bit of a right hip joint issue that surfaced during her win in Dubai, and it definitely impacted her only race between now and then a 10K in Bangalore, and she is unsure of how she's going to hold up. She's using this as a test to see if her fitness is there, if there may be a more serious injury. If she comes through this okay, she said she plans to run the Berlin Marathon in September. If not, she is going to take maybe 2 to 3 months off. She will not run a fall marathon, and she's going to seek some medical treatment in Germany.
She will go back to the drawing board, I guess.
Indeed.
So there's the men. Looks like the pacemaker has decided to drop back with them so that both pacemakers are with the group, followed by Kenneth and who's the other? Felix is there.
There's Festus Talam.
Callum's kind of at the back of this pack.
Interestingly, Callum went out earlier today at about noon to take a little bit of a jog and test the temperatures. He's indicated here all week that he's not really interested in what kind of a time. He definitely wants to stick his nose in and compete and race with these guys, and seemed fairly confident that he'll be able to manage himself in these conditions, having done so for the full marathon at the Rio Olympics last summer.
Well, it looks to me like he's already dropping off the pace, though, as is Festus. It could be a long evening for them. Festus Talam has a personal best of 60 minutes and 56 seconds, but not today. Which figures, really. The women are still together in a group, though, the 5 of them, which bodes well.
Yes, Worknesh, Degefa there, as we mentioned. Pauline Nigeru. Netzanet Gudeta from Ethiopia.
Rose Chalimo, the Kenyan-born Bahraini.
Lucy Chariot from Kenya.
Have to assume that the pacemaker's doing a fairly decent job at this point. Yeah, the men's group has definitely broken up already.
This is shades of last year's men's race when Stanley Biwott basically soloed this race from 10K, inside of 10K on, but I mean, 3.7, 3.8K, this was already strung out, so.
Well, they're a little further along.
They're a little further along, yeah. So it's not as brutal as it was last year, but far from ideal.
And you still have 2 RunCzech Racing athletes in there.
Yeah, Kenneth Peters is an interesting guy with a 59:48 PR, but did that as a pacemaker at the Venlo Marathon. He had 2 big falls in Prague and Valencia. Then paced the Ras El Khaimah half through 10K, ran 27:52 there. Was solid in Paris on a fairly wet and cold day. He trains in E10. He said that in his preparation for this race, he did a fairly good 25K run at 3:12 on Moybin Road, which runs between E10 and Eldoret. It's a little bit, it's off tarmac, so it's hilly, and it's about 2,100 meters altitude.
Everything over there is at altitude.
That's right. He's also a big WWE wrestling fan. He told me his favorite wrestler is John Cena. I asked him what he thought John Cena could do out here today. He said he could probably finish the race, but it might take him 2.5 to 3 hours.
But he also said he thought he could run a good 100 meters.
Yes,
didn't he?
yes, he did.
Had that sprinter look about him.
Yeah. He's just motioning for a little bit of space.
Yeah. RunCzech Racing is a organization, I guess you could say, that was formed by Zane Branson and Carlo Capalbo of RunCzech organization to encourage some younger runners from Kenya initially, give them an opportunity to race around the world to get into some international races. Initially, many of them as pacemakers, later getting invites to other events. And it's kind of taking some people who wouldn't have had the opportunity without RunCzech racing and giving them a chance. And several of them have done very well. Most notably was, of course, the Prague Marathon's world record by Jocelyn Jepkosky, who set actually 4 world records at 10K, 15K, 20K, and the half marathon, just on April 1st. April Fool's Day was no joke.
Nobody was fooling around with.
No.
Well, Jocelyn definitely wasn't fooling around.
No. And also, Viola Chepchumba went with her. They duked it out, and Viola ended up running 105, 2021, I believe it was, or so, and didn't quite survive, but still a fast time.
Looks like Pauline Nigeru is falling off. She really
looks like
struggling.
she's limping a little bit.
I wonder if she got caught up in one of the tram rails. That's Pavel Dimac, Czech runner.
Looks like Rose is having trouble holding on to that pace at the moment. But the two Ethiopians, Worknesh and Netzinet, are really going at it. Netzinet looks quite strong. Seems to be leading the charge. Be nice if we could get a 5K split here. There we have the
And
men's.
on demand.
14:20 for 5K. Pacemaker. But within 1 second, you have 4 other runners, including Kenneth Peters, Simon Cheprop.
So they're actually a little bit ahead of schedule. They were looking for 14:25 at 5K. So,
right.
So far, so good.
Yes, quite good. They could go under 101 at this pace. 6 kilometers in 17:22 or 23.
Looks like one of the RunCzech racers is falling off this lead pack.
Right. Kenneth is still there and can't quite
Can't see who's behind the pacer. It might be Josephat Kiptis that's fallen off.
One of the many beautiful buildings in and around this area, dating back in some cases to the 12th century.
Another example of Baroque architecture.
Very much.
One of the things that's really interesting here is in Olomouc is you get the Gothic, you get the Baroque, and sometimes, like in the example of Wenceslas Cathedral, you've got a Gothic-style church, you've got a Romanesque crypt, and you've got Baroque chapels. So you get it all in like one package.
Save on your tourist attractions.
So Josephat Kiptis actually did not fall off. It looks like he's there on the outside.
Uh-huh. Worknesh has decided she's had enough of Netzinet, maybe.
No?
Not completely.
No, she's leading Netzinet.
15:51 for their 5K.
So they're also under under the desired pace. They were shooting for 16 minutes flat at 5K. So
they're well under it, and Rose is hanging on. It looks like, or is that?
That's Lucy Nigeru.
It's Lucy.
Rose has already dropped back.
Sorry, Lucy Chariot. So we have the unusual situation there of a couple of Ethiopians leading the Kenyan. Usually the Ethiopians follow the Kenyans till late in the event, but not tonight.
It was very interesting watching the Dubai Marathon in January, as you know, RunCzech was not really spoken about as a favorite to win that race. There was a lot of attention placed on some of her compatriots, and she dropped the hammer. And when she did, there was little, if any, response. Quite impressive on a debut marathon.
You know, they don't look like they're sweating a lot, any of them, which could mean they're dehydrated, but also could mean it's not as bad out there as we thought it was. Since both groups, the men and the women, are under the announced pace.
And these guys look like they're out for a jog.
Yeah, right now they don't look like they're working very hard at all.
No. RunCzech did say yesterday that she was not concerned by the heat.
Well, I've heard that a lot, but then I've seen people fall apart, too.
But everybody else has been worried about the heat, so I thought that was particularly interesting.
Maybe she was more worried about her hip or whatever her problem is.
Yeah.
This could be the lead Czech man.
That's Vit Pavlista. He's got a 65:09 half marathon PR. He's run 2:17:59 for the full marathon.
He's with the lead women right now. So I would guess then that they're on something around a 107 pace. Surprising to me. They do seem to have had a lot of shade so far.
So you take a look at the Basilica of the Virgin Mary. Another church in this Baroque style. Was made a minor basilica when Pope John Paul II visited there in the mid-90s.
There are many, many churches, as has been pointed out to us.
We saw some of them today.
Yes.
As you see, elite athlete coordinator Jana Moberly. I think you know her, Jim.
Yes, we have met.
Providing the shortest tangents for the elite men.
Now, we don't have a blue line here like they have in some races, but we have Jan out there on the motorbike trying to help them point which way to go, encouraging them to run fast.
It was quite interesting watching the marathon at the Rio Olympics, where they had the tangents painted on the road, and so many of the runners just ignored them.
Completely.
I think the ladies from the Bowerman Track Club, Shalane Flanagan, among them, were the ones that really stuck to it. Other runners were kind of all over the road, which is strange in a championship marathon where conditions were a factor. You'd want to run the shortest distance between point A and point B.
Absolutely. You cut those tangents whenever you can. I think Shalane ran a very smart race. What was she, sixth?
Yes. All three American women inside the top 10.
It was a
very good day.
They did well. If there had been a team championship, they would have been highly placed.
Yes.
They would have been on the podium.
Certainly after the Kenyans would have been disqualified for doping, they would have moved up the podium.
Yeah. With Sumgang gone.
Yes.
Now Kenneth looks wet. He looks like he's sweating. Yeah, these guys are working now.
Running in the striped kit there is Amos Kurgat of Kenya.
He's a member of the Run Together group, which has been put together by Thomas Krejci in Austria.
So we get a look at Yuri Homolach there.
Yeah. He looks pretty good, but he looks like he's working hard. He is definitely sweating. He is wet.
He's soaked. I wonder if that's all sweat or if he hit one of those 7 sprinkler stations on the course.
I hope so. I hope that was more of that, but I doubt it. The elite athletes tend to avoid those sprinkler stations, and I don't know why. You can even hear him, rather heavy breathing.
So we're in that portion of the course, Jim, that we talked about earlier, where you're kind of getting outside the city limits.
Yeah, and there's
certainly
not a
there's
lot
fields.
of shade.
There's no shade, so which is punishing. There's no crowd, so there's no energy. The runners are really kind of out there on their own. Between 6K and maybe all the way through 8K. 9K is kind of when you're coming back into town.
Looks like they're coming back now. But Kenneth is really, I don't know, leading this group, not only leading it physically by being in front, but also talking to everyone and pointing the way, and very active in his
background as a pacer is certainly playing in here, because he's definitely, like you said, giving direction.
And now taking over the lead by what, a meter or two. There he is.
He's looking for help too.
I don't know what the
I don't know if he's too. I don't know what the conversation is, but he doesn't look happy.
No.
To be out there on his own.
Strange. We'll have to ask after the race. He's really talking a lot. Now they're back in town where they've got a bit more shade, so hopefully. But they're working hard. I
mean, this shot here may look a little bit deceiving, like it's a steep uphill. This course is fairly flat. There's not much undulation to it at all.
RunCzech Racing into the 4. Kenneth, where's your sunglasses? You could use them right now. What? Jana's hollering Anthem something. So we've got 2 RunCzech racers going for it as we approach halfway in the race.
A little bit of a surprise.
Yeah. We're going to take a shot of the DM family run here.
Yeah, as we mentioned earlier, before the start of the half marathon was the DM family run. 3,500 runners took part in this 3K. It's a great way for the community to be engaged with the event, getting kids out to run. It all sort of follows through on all of the RunCzech initiatives. All runners are beautiful. Doesn't matter whether you're elite, hobby, old, young. We like to see everybody out there on the course during race day, not just the elites.
I think Carlo Copalbo wants to build a running community in the Czech Republic. There are 10.5 million people, so why not have 8 or 9 million of them at least out there running eventually? And This gets them enthused, gets the kids enthused.
So you see, there's Carlo.
Right, greeting them at the finish line.
It's a little bit of a masochist out there in a sweatshirt today.
The kids with their shirts, and the families finishing.
It really was a great scene. We were out there earlier, watching some of these parents and kids finish the race.
Looking
just
at
the
their
level
time.
of energy and enthusiasm was quite impressive. There's Carlo handing out finishers medals. There you can see one of the sprinkler fountains there in the background. Josephat Kiptis and Kenneth Peters through 10K at 29 minutes. So they're now a little bit above schedule. They were shooting for 28:50 at 10K. I can't say that's a surprise when you've lost both pacemakers and pretty much the rest of the elite field. This is starting to string out.
Right.
I think it's actually going to start slowing even greater as we get closer to the finish.
I don't know. Kenneth seems determined to really push things.
Yeah, but we saw this last year. Even when Stanley broke up the men's race,
that's true.
He slowed terribly in the last 5K.
Right.
I mean, it's really punishing to be out there by yourself. So even if he does push the pace here and drop Josephat Kiptis, he's basically putting it all out there on his shoulders. I mean, maybe he's ready for that. He talked about wanting to continue to work at the half marathon and work on his pacing with the idea of making the jump to the full marathon sometime around 2019, ahead of that qualification period for the Tokyo Olympics.
It's a logical thing to do, because these guys can make a decent living just doing half marathons, maybe an occasional 10K. They can take that money back to Kenya and do good and support the family.
Support their training.
Yep. And not beat themselves up doing full marathons initially, but learning to race.
Now we get a split here back to the women's race, and really no change. The two Ethiopian women, Netzanet and Worknesh, are still working together. Pacer's still there, doing a good job.
Doing a wonderful job, yeah. Bit Pavlista trying to hang on.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell if she's suffering with any hip issue, but she's starting to fall back. So that could be playing a factor right now.
Looks to me like a break.
Netzanet has looked strong.
Yeah.
Here throughout. Worknesh is really starting to labor.
She's struggling through the water. Get a little chilling effect, hopefully.
That could be a mistake, not taking a sponge to cool yourself.
Well, she did run through the mist, so that would help.
Take it, get a suck of water, squeeze some, and go. I mean, all the runners in the technical meeting yesterday were encouraged to really take advantage of the sponge stations at 3K, 8K, 13K, and 18K.
And to drink, especially before starting this morning. They've been told to get hydrated. We don't want any big problems in this event.
That's about a good 20-meter gap that's open here. Netzanet Gudeta is just a shade under 32 minutes, which is the prescribed pace for 10K. So she's looking pretty good right now.
As you said, she may slow later, but at the moment she looks like she's in control of this event.
have to say at this point, I mean, it's her race to lose.
I would also say that her pacemaker has done an extraordinary job for 12K already.
Yes.
Brought him through 10K right on the money within 1 second, right?
Yeah. Someone cut that guy a bonus.
Kudos to him.
Yeah. Back to the men's race, and again, no change there. Kenneth Peters and Josephat Kiptis have really dropped Amos and everybody else. Amos Kurgat.
He was the last one to fall off. Josephat looks pretty comfortable, comparably comfortable. Yeah. Kenneth is very animated. It's a little hard to tell whether he's hurting or not. Back in the shade, that's nice.
They look like two training partners out there on a run.
Exactly. Heading up to E10 to the dirt track. They're so used to doing those group runs in Kenya. You know, 30 or 40 guys just going out for a 30K run and just hammering until there's only 1 or 2 left.
Now this is interesting on the women's race. If you look,
Worknesh is
caught back up, and now Netzanet looks like she's struggling a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Both trying to hang on to the pacemaker.
Yeah, and Vít Pavlista is in danger of tripping over himself as or tripping over the ladies. He's right on their heels.
Yeah, a little too close probably. Maybe he heard us. It looks like he went out.
So the ladies made one of the hairpin turns on this course in between 11 and 12K. They'll hit the 12K point on the comeback. So men take advantage of the sprinkler.
That was a small one, no. Josephat looks pretty comfortable, doesn't he?
They both do.
Yeah.
I mean, you really haven't seen any form breakdown, other than, you know, Kenneth is animated at times.
Matching stride for stride. It's beautiful.
Impressive.
Beautiful. I suppose Amos is still back there if one of them falters.
From this shot, it's hard to see how far back he is, but
yeah, and the television
again, but
lens.
like you said, if the wheels fall off, anything's possible.
Yeah.
We can see him now. He's within reasonable striking distance.
Right.
If something were to happen, a stitch or really tie up.
Like that race in Uganda, the World Cross Country.
Yes.
Man looked like he was, the Ugandan looked like he was sure thing. And the wheels came off.
I mean, when it happens, I mean, it happens with like the suddenty of like a gunshot. I mean,
yeah.
It's like bang, and it's.
He finished 30th, I believe, but that was painful to watch.
Some of the kids trying to keep up.
Yeah. Doing pretty good. Maybe they'll be out doing the family run next year.
Yeah.
I don't know if Josephat and Kenneth trained together, but they sure look like they comfortable in that position.
Right now, yeah, it doesn't seem like either one of them is ready to make a break.
Or drop back.
Right.
Well, Worknesh is hanging on. Vit has moved to the fore to maybe get out of the way a little bit.
I mean, should the pacemaker start to struggle, I mean,
Vit is,
having one of the men from the elite field there can certainly be a help to these ladies.
yeah, they're.
Two cups and
One
three
more?
cups,
One-
4 cups, and a sponge.
Yes.
That was a productive run through the aid station.
For one aid station, that's a lot.
And the ladies have taken no water.
None, yeah. That's. I'm not sure if that's foolhardy or something they've practiced, but a lot of elite runners don't race, don't drink a lot, I should say, in half marathons, but I think this is a different situation today.
Yeah, you would think this would be the exception to that rule.
Yeah.
Back to the men's race.
Great advertising for RunCzech racing.
Yeah. So you've got two guys here. Kenneth Peters, 20 years old, and Josephat Kiptis is a little bit older. He's 23. He ran his half marathon PR on this course 2 years ago, 60:21.
Well, they're not going to get that today, but they're still very impressive, regardless of the time.
As you take a look there at Amos Kurgat.
He's still in a podium position.
He is. So the men have now made their way into the park, so they will make another hairpin turn.
Right.
And as they round the turn, they'll hit the 15K point. So we should get a split coming up pretty soon. As you'll take a look at Festus Talam, another RunCzech racer.
Right.
So that's three RunCzech racing guys in the top 4.
Yeah, and to run together in third. Yeah, they're on that almost to 50 kilometers. Running through the park. They'll get a good view of the other runners on the other side of the road after they make this turn at the end.
Yeah, they won't have to do that over the shoulder.
Right. They'll know where the other guys are.
Exactly. I don't think either one of these guys is concerned about where Amos is at this point. I think they're pretty focused on each other.
Right.
Kiptis seems to be pushing a little bit.
A little bit. There's the U-turn.
Looked like Kiptis threw in a little
15K,
surge on the
40, 43, 42, 43, 41, something
so
like that.
So they're under
The 101 pace?
Yeah, the 101 pace was 45, or excuse me, 40. No, they're over. I'm sorry. I was looking at the women's number. Apologize. 43:15 was the prescribed
Okay.
tempo. So they're a little bit off, but
Yeah.
not terribly.
No.
And it did look like Kiptis threw in a little surge around the
Right at the turn.
right at the turn. See the Mattoni
Yep.
cheerleaders.
There is a little break there. You see it?
Yep. Josephat Kiptis is in control here. So
It's
open
got-
about a 5-meter lead, and it looks like Kenneth Peters is hurting.
Yes.
He may be paying the price for doing the majority of the work in that opening 10K.
Yeah, Kiptis still looks much more comfortable.
I mean, if I'm Amos Kurgat, I got my eyes on Kenneth Peters' back as you take a look
Right.
at Callum Hawkins right now making his way up the park. And he's got some runners within his sights as well to chase.
Unfortunately, it's Smetana's Gardens, which is appropriate since we heard Smetana's music at the start.
Indeed.
It's a long day out there. It may be only a couple of minutes slower than optimum, but it's much more uncomfortable.
I think you really tip your hat to all of these guys, regardless of time or finish.
Absolutely. Last year, half the field was gone by this point.
Right. For someone like Callum Hawkins, who's had a really solid start to 2017, ran 60 flat in Japan in February, comes back, runs 60.08 in the New York City half, which is not the easiest course.
No, it's a tough one.
And he's using this race as his final tune-up for the World Championships Marathon in London later this summer. What do you take away from a day like this where the conditions are just flat out impacting performances across the board?
Well, I think, he's got to be prepared for any sort of problems that might occur in London, because London in August is can be very problematic. There is no telling what the conditions are going to be like. Looks
5
like
years ago in the Olympics, there were ice vests and cooling jackets and
Right.
everything at play because
holes in the singlets.
it was quite humid.
Looks like Yeezy's hanging in there pretty well, considering. Yeezy Homolach, the #1 Czech runner.
He's closing in there on Philemon Kip Career Maritim, another
From the Run to Greta
from the run
group.
to, yeah. Here are those official 15K splits. Josephat Kiptis, 43.39. Keter right there, but as we saw, there was a little bit of a break. Amos
Before
Kurgat, 25 seconds back. Festus Talam, a minute back. Felix Candy, a 2:06 marathoner, is hanging in there in 5th place.
Looked like Callum was behind Yeezy in that shot. Well, the two Ethiopians are hanging tough.
Pacer hanging tough.
Yeah.
Veet hanging tough. That is definitely a benefit. They have two pacers still with them. The men do not. They lost their pacers.
Long time ago.
Yep.
It's a great place to view. You can see the number of spectators along the park here. They can spend the day out at the park and then watch the race in the evening. And
the expo is right there.
yes. It's a beautiful city. It really is. It's a lot of green areas, a lot of trees, a lot of...
Looks like that's Vrapkova.
Yeah, Eva, with the tape on her right leg. A lot of bike paths in the city as well.
Yes. You almost got mowed down by a biker yesterday because you were walking in the bike path.
I walked on the wrong side of the sidewalk there into the bike path.
Looks like Worknesh from that shot
is suffering again. Yep. And that is running up the back of the pacemaker.
Should be getting women's 15K splits here in a...
They're definitely past that.
I believe that's Lucy Nigeru.
I think you're right.
But, I mean, you can see, I mean, her form is completely gone.
She's working very hard.
She's pumping those arms just to keep the motor running.
Could be Rose Chalima behind her there. Yeah, it is Lucy Chariot, 1 minute and 15 seconds behind in third place.
So the women are way off schedule. As I said earlier, the schedule for a 67:30 finish was 45 minutes flat at the 15K. You can see they're 3 minutes over.
Yeah. Well, you thought that was unrealistic, and I had to agree.
Yeah. As we go back to the men's race, and Josephat Kiptis in control with a now sizable.
Yeah, I'd say 40, 50 meters. Yeah.
Lead on Kenneth Peters.
And still looking pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, he's sweating heavily right now, but...
but his cadence hasn't really changed.
No.
His form looks good.
He's just concentrating on getting there.
So Josephat Kiptis, he's got 8 half marathons to his credit coming in here today. The mention is he ran his PR here in 2015, 60:21.
Ah, it's Worknesh.
It's actually Worknesh.
We were wrong, folks.
That aerial shot was deceiving. So Worknesh is gritting her teeth.
Pushing hard. Vit is over on the side. Netzanet is out by herself.
Netzanet is, I mean, now the danger for her is, like, if she cannot stay with Vit, she's in no man's land by herself.
Yeah.
You know, Worknesh still has her pacer.
Of course, she has less than 5K to go at this point.
Right.
I say that like that's nothing, but it's not.
I mean, we're only sitting here watching.
A little more sunlight. It's another problem. It's almost 8 o'clock at night, and the sun is still up in the sky.
And the sun rises early here.
Yes.
4 a.m. The lights come through the curtains in the hotel. For someone like Worknesh, who's definitely knows she's got as you take a look at Eva Vrapkova and Pauline Nigeru. Eva coming in here off of a very strong run a few weeks ago at the New York Roadrunners Mini 10K, where she finished 8th. That race was won by Mary Catani.
The great Mary Catani. Pauline has a PR, which is 2 minutes faster than Eva, so this would be a nice scalp for Eva to get.
For sure. It's interesting to now look at Eva's progression as a road racer.
Right.
Coming to this sport late after, basically, the majority of her athletic career spent in the winters cross-country skiing, but obviously built up an aerobic base that's going to serve her well here.
She ran a ski race a month or so ago. And those races are 30K, 50K, whatever. As you've noted, there are some Americans who have been ski racers, cross-country ski racing, that have done quite well in running as well.
Yeah, you definitely, when you look at the Winter Olympic, Summer Olympic crossover, you see a lot of cross-country skiing to distance running. You see a lot of sprinting to bobsled.
Right.
Which is, I mean, there have been hundreds.
Yeah.
Interesting one in Rio for me was Shireen Jem from Lebanon, who became the first alpine skier to cross over and run the marathon at the Olympics. She was a 3-time Olympian in alpine. Now resides with her husband in Chicago. As RunCzech, now completely in control here.
Yeah,
and looking good.
She just has to hold it together.
Also looking good. That's some pretty good sidewalk form there. I don't know if she could keep it up for a full half, but
she can work on it.
Yeah.
Next year maybe she can be out there with them.
So back to the point I was trying to make earlier about RunCzech. Obviously, this is huge for her because coming through a half marathon, if she with no damage to her hip, looking strong.
Yeah.
Obviously sets her up potentially for another good payday. She took home $200,000 US for winning Dubai, but if she does go and run in Berlin, opportunity there for a fast time and
yeah.
and certainly another step up the rung of the world's elite women's marathoners.
Yeah, if she does well there, she gets an invite to London, and it just continues.
It continues to snowball, and it really becomes life-changing.
Yeah. So it's nice to see that, as you noted, her hip or whatever it was does not seem to be holding her back. Nor is anything holding Josephat back.
Not at all.
He's maybe 4 minutes or so from the finish.
This is actually his first half marathon of 2017. He ran twice. Last year, he finished 8th in Nice, running 63:07, and 6th in Gothenburg, running 63:12.
Well, he'd be around that time today, I would imagine.
Yeah, probably. Maybe a little under.
Hopefully. But he should be approaching 20K, I would think.
Yeah.
I'm not.
There's a 20K, just went
there
through.
There it was, 58:45.
Jim, you just have like that telepathy to know when
That's
it's coming.
It's my radar, my 20K radar.
So the prescribed pace, as we talked about, is well gone. They were looking for 57:40 at 20K. I think anybody would be happy, right now around with a time in the 62s, all things considered.
Yeah, they're a minute off. And he's thinking about being at the top of the podium today. Nice shot of the
Church of St. Moritz.
Another of the many, many churches in Olomouc.
I believe this is the church that's actually closest to Horny Nemesti.
Well, yeah, he's only 1 kilometer from the finish, or less, a little less than that 1 kilometer.
Yeah.
Back on the cobblestones for the last part of the race.
Yep. That's how you know you're getting close.
Yeah.
When you're back on the cobblestone. 600 100 meters to go. So this'll actually be Kiptis' second victory here in Olomouc.
A little bit of a hill there, a little rise.
Little bit.
Little rise.
The race director tried to tell the runners, when you look at the topographic map, it shows a little bit of a rise, but it's nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
Boschik's like, don't panic. We're not trying to kill you out there in the last, 300-400 meters.
Well, Kenneth is holding on pretty well right now, I must admit. Just not as well as Josephat.
So Josephat is set to become the first two-time winner of the Mattoni Olomouc half marathon.
And there have been some pretty good runners like Jeffrey Rona who tried.
Yeah, Wilson Kipsang.
Yeah.
He's tried, failed.
Dennis
Cometto, world record holder. Here's the triumphant final meters.
Trying to get under 102.
Trying hard. He's going to get under 102.
He's got it. That's impressive.
61.51 unofficial
Very
for
good.
Josephat Kiptis.
Excellent performance on a difficult day.
Yeah. 6th straight Kenyan to win this race.
And here comes Kenneth.
Here comes Kenneth Peters.
Talking to himself, I think.
It's a third half marathon victory for Josephat Kiptis in his career. Strong.
Good finish.
62-14-ish unofficial, probably.
Good finish.
These guys are definitely happy.
Amos is coming in.
And
That's
Amos Kurgat.
Good job for him. Excellent job for him. He might be someone to watch in the future.
Yeah. This third place finish for Amos Kurgat will match his best performance of his career. He finished third in Milan last March, running 61.56. So another podium finish for him.
With I think a tougher field. I'm not sure what they had in Milano, but
not to take anything away from the field here.
Go, Amos. Last few meters. You're home. Congratulations.
63.22 unofficial. Festus Talam coming in here.
Another RunCzech racer.
4th place.
3 out of the top 4.
It's a very, very good showing by RunCzech racing team here. Another successful race here in the Czech Republic for Festus Talam, the 22-year-old. He finished runner-up in Karlovy Vary in 2014. Was 4th in Ústí nad Labem in 2015. He'll finish 4th here in Olomouc.
There's a group of young guys who are running well, deserve some opportunities in other venues.
64.20 probably unofficial.
Put a medal on him.
As Devor from Ikaika.
Ikaika. It's a Hawaiian word, so
The South African agent with a Hawaiian.
It means strength or strong in Hawaiian. Having spent some time there, thank you.
Let's take a look at Peter Sohm crossing there in 6th place.
And Yerji, excellent.
This is a really good run for him.
Yeah, excellent. Javier. Paulo. 105.29, 105.28 maybe. He's hurting, understandably.
This is Romanenko you're looking at from Ukraine. The 63.49 PR. Give you an idea of what the conditions are doing to these guys,
right,
in terms of their best.
Couple of minutes at least.
It's 2 and 3 minutes
yeah,
is what we're seeing pretty much across the board.
Right.
Let's take a look at Yuri Homolach. You know, as we said, he ran his PR earlier this year at 63.23, and he's 3 minutes off. So,
yeah. But a good run, actually a good run.
Very good run nonetheless.
Congratulations to Yeji. Just got to hold rest for a minute. Very talkative, Josephat.
As we take a look at Worknesh to Geffa.
Yep. She has the lead. She's come up the little rise. She's in the home stretch.
We should mention that the Pacers on the women's side are allowed to finish.
Yeah.
Pacers on both sides were allowed to finish.
Exactly. She's dropped Vit Pavlista.
And you can.
I didn't see Netsnet.
She was about, yeah, she was about to round that little corner behind Vit. So Worknesh to Geffa came in here with a little bit of an injury uncertainty. Was looking to test her hip. Was hoping to run 27:30. I mean, she's within a minute of that goal where we saw on the men's side it was basically +3.
Yeah.
So another really, really impressive run for Worknesh to Geffa here in 2017.
Yes. She's going to be about a minute and a half out. I have to say her pacemaker did a good job.
Really, really extraordinary job, as you mentioned there, by Kripa Nikagnet.
(109.19) unofficially.
Again, not out of line when you look at some of the winning times here on the women's side.
Oh, she got a blister. Oh, her sock had come down.
Ooh, that could lead to another problem.
Yes.
That it could be difficult to heal.
It wasn't the shoe, it was the sock.
As Netzanet.
She could get under 110, maybe.
She's going to be probably just a little outside.
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
But at 69.19 is a winning time. Nets net crosses here second place in 70.03-ish. And
Rose is coming
Rose
in.
Chalimo.
Third.
And she made up some ground because she was in fourth at 15K.
Right.
So.
And Lucy is behind her, it looks
Yep.
like. They're both working.
They're working. Lucy wants to get on the podium. She is closing.
Yeah, and closing fast. It looks like. It's hard to tell when you got that
angle, right.
telephoto shot.
Yeah.
Now, it's definitely Rose. 110.33 and maybe
36 or 7.
Yeah.
So Rose Chalimo from Bahrain follows up that runner-up performance in Boston with another strong effort here. So 69.19 is a winning time, Jim. You know, other than really the last 3 years coming in where we've had, you know, some of the best women's marathoners in history. If you look at Edna Kiplagat, multiple-time world champion,
right.
Mary Katani, as we mentioned, so those winning times were 68.53, 66.38. Other than that, all the other winning times in this race have been 70 seconds or
True.
Or slower. So
True.
To run 69.19 in these conditions is just,
very
I
impressive.
think, shows how impressive of an effort Worknesh Gefa put in here. As Eva Vrabkova,
she's going to be closer to her personal best than anybody. Her personal best being 111.
111.06, yeah.
She's going to be within about a minute of that. Very strong performance.
I think she will be very, very happy.
I would call that one of the performances of the day, if not the performance of the day.
Yeah. I mean, she's inside of a minute, 72.02.
Yeah.
Unofficial. And we talked to her at the press conference yesterday, and we asked her about the conditions, and she's like, hey, I ski in 30 degrees Celsius below zero, or negative 30, so why not run in plus 30? So she embraced it like a champ.
Yeah, that was impressive. That was maybe the performance of the day. She got closer to her personal best than anyone, I think.
Yep. Continue to see the rise, as we're going to hear from Eva pretty soon.
Well, if that's in check, we may not.
This is Pauline Najeru.
Yeah. She had problems in the second half.
Yeah.
She looks like she's suffering pretty badly.
I mean, kit jersey untucked, form breaking down.
Yeah.
She's like, get me to the finish and the massage table.
Yes. And the drinks. Tongue is out to the side there. Here she comes. 103.20 something. 103.23. 22.
Yeah, 23 or 4. So we get to the podium here for the men's race.
Right.
In third place, Amos Kurgat.
Good performance for him, really.
Yeah. Kenneth Peters did a lot of the work early in this race, telling the pacemakers what to do. When the pacemakers dropped, he took control, paid the price for it.
Talked to Josephat along the course.
And your two-time winner of the Mattoni Olomouc Half Marathon, Josephat Kiptis.
Young runners doing well.
Yep.
Nice to see. And that's the whole point behind RunCzech racing.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate they'll probably be judged by the time rather than by the effort that they put in this tough day.
I think knowledgeable people race directors and such will take a look at what the conditions were here today
I hope
in
so.
judging whether to add any of these guys to their field, and they would be worthy adds to
Absolutely.
to any road race.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, we talked with Kenneth and Josephat. They speak good English. They have personality. They bring a lot to the table.
And they work. They work hard.
As is customary in the RunCzech races, get blown crystal trophies.
Bohemian Crystal, even though we're in Moravia, it's probably still Bohemian Crystal. The two areas in the Czech Republic are Bohemia and Moravia. Moravia in the east, yes, in the east, and Bohemia in the west. The Kenyan national anthem.
As you heard the beautiful Kenyan national anthem, not once but twice, Josephat Kiptis, your champion.
Well, I think they're all three of them are from Kenya, I believe.
All three are from Kenya.
Yeah. And that's not an unusual sound in the...
So we look at the results. Josephat Kiptis, 61.50. Kenneth Peters, 24 seconds back. Amos Kurgad, 1 minute and 31 back for the podium.
The top six all from Kenya.
As we go back to the non-elites, as they make their way closer to 15K through the gardens.
With lots of cheerleaders and lots of audience. It's nice to see the crowd out there. The crowd enjoys it, the runners enjoy it. It's a community event.
It looked like that was the hour-and-a-half pace group that was making their way to closer to the hairpin turn.
Uh-huh. Well, I would guess that even the pace groups would be off today.
I would think so.
You know, if the elites are off 3 or 4 minutes for the most part, except for Eva, I would expect the pace groups could be off 5 or 6 or more. The Mattoni cheerleaders and the women.
That's Rose Chilimo, the Kenyan-born Bahraini runner, in 3rd place. Runner-up, Netzanet Gudeta from Ethiopia.
Who really helped to make the race.
She really did. She pushed the pace behind the pacer for a good deal of time, and Worknesh gathered herself and took control. to win in around 69.19. We'll get the official times here after the medal and trophy presentations. Should mention that our men's winner, Josephat Kiptis, comes out of the famed St. Patrick's program in
high
Kenyan,
school.
coached by Brother Calm.
Yeah.
And since 2017, he's been coached by Spanish Paralympic multi-medalist Santiago Sanz.
Yeah, Santiago didn't come to this one, but he was at the last race here in the RunCzech Running League Series. The Ethiopian anthem. I think in that finishing shot, you could see her wincing a bit, which
We don't know if that's because of the blister that she got from her sock.
I think it is.
Yeah, I didn't really see anything in her hip as you take a look at the finishing times. Tugefa officially 69.19. Netzanet Gudeta 44 seconds back. Rose Chilimo minute 14 back. But Eva Vrepkova with a 5th place finish, maybe, like you said, the most impressive performance of the day. Jim, this has been a lot of fun. Looking forward to having everybody come join us again in September with the Grand Prix 10K for men, sponsored by Burrell, and the Adidas Women's 5K in Prague. And then we finish up the RunCzech Running League with the half marathon, the Mattoni Usti Nadlebum, excuse me, half marathon.
Well, I think both of the Czech runners today, Eva, Czech winners, I should say, Eva and Jiří, perhaps put in the performances of the day. They certainly were closer to their personal bests, and I think they will both be happy with their days today. But Josephat and Kenneth both, along with Worknesh, of course.
Worknesh did a really strong job there. I mean, hard to argue with 69.19.
And it looks like the folks that are still out there are doing okay and having a nice Saturday evening run in the park.
Thank you all for watching today, and have a safe and happy summer. So long.